All right, y'all. Back at it again. Beardy Bros Golf Show, Ryder Cup special. Know why you're here. We're going to talk about some auxiliary subjects, just getting warmed up here. And then we'll jump into the juiciness of this past 3 days. A lot of stories that have come out from this year's Ryder Cup kind of backs up a couple of weeks. Just as we led into it, there were some stories leading into the tournament as a whole. But we're going to get into it. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
So, I have a golf group that I typically play with, and every couple of years when the Ryder Cup rolls around, we also do our own little Ryder Cup deal. The format is just singles matches. We kind of match up via handicap, but you're playing straight up against your competitor. So I'm going to roll a quick little clip here of my group. See me there in the blue and khaki shorts. Red team looked the part. They looked good. I'm not gonna slight them at all. They looked good, look handsome, but the blue team went out and got the win. So, you know, all good, but we did our thing. Again, took them 6-2. Took the money, so just threw $50 in a pot per person. If you won, you walked away with $120. If you lost, you
Very
walked
good.
away empty pocket. So good win, good
Congrats.
team win. Just to switch up the format versus our individual tournaments. So that was a good little shake up to the year just to commemorate the Ryder Cup being played. We'll do it again another 2 years. President's Cup just doesn't feel important
Nah,
enough to do that. It doesn't feel the
you
same.
don't need to be locked in for that.
No. Um, on the LPGA side, there was a tournament this week. I don't think anybody was really paying attention,
Some
and
form of golf.
unfortunately,
Yep.
it was some form of golf. A player with the last name Ryu, but not the popular Ryu, won this week. Um, and that was played in Northwest Arkansas. So we're gonna smooth move on past that. The LPGA really could have sat this week out. I don't get it.
Should have.
We we're not gonna beat the dead horse that the LPGA continues to trip over their own 2 feet. Um, and kind of one more auxiliary, story that I have in the deck this week is Dwayne Wade popped on my Twitter feed this week.
Yep.
PGA Tour reposting a hole in one from D Wade. We're gonna play the clip. Tell me what you think of this man's swing.
Oh, we already talked about it. It's disgusting. I'm already hot about it.
Oh, come on! Come on!
I'm gonna
It's
run it
just so
back. So this is
angering, man.
what you say. You hate the swing.
I don't hate the swing. No, I hate that swing has a hole in one and mine doesn't. How about that? Look at that. So over the top. Oh my god.
I know, but again, at impact, he gets where he needs. He's a tall guy, right? So
Right. So
playing
him
golf
lowering
as a,
his head and stuff like that. Nah, he's
I
good. He
know
he does what he needs to do.
we've
Hold the
seen
follow
worse.
through. Like,
Come on! Come on!
yeah,
We've seen worse from pros,
sure.
from other sports trying to jump in golf. But I think it's a good thing, right? So uh,
Agreed.
he Zoom man, he's wearing the East Side Golf stuff. I'm not a super fan of East Side Golf due to their
Right.
beef with trap golf a couple of years ago. But
Yeah.
shout out to him growing the game of golf, showing folks out there that the game is accessible. It's one of the things that we try to talk about here on the show, that this is a game for all people that want to play.
For sure.
It's just that a lot of people don't have access or think that it's a game that's within their range, or budget, or just not, something that they could ever see themselves playing. We
Agreed.
know it's competitive as all get out. It's hard. And it's probably, I've heard this from a lot of people, it's the hardest sport that you will ever play. And I concur with that. I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah. He's a little bit fashion forward. I don't. I'm not mad at the above the knee shorts. They're a little bit above the knee shorts, but all things considered, he got his shirt tucked in. He got a
Yeah.
polo on. Yeah, man. I'm all for it. I'm happy for him. But like I said, for that swing to have a hole in one and mine not to be, and then on top of that, it was at Pebble Beach. I'm a little bit
Yeah.
salty. But
Yeah.
congrats to Flash.
Yeah, everybody, no, I shouldn't say everybody's time will come, but getting a hole in one is a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. Sometimes they come together. It is what it is. So, no shame
Very
in
true.
that. I've seen people on their first round out hit a driver on a par three and get a hole in one. So, again,
Very
luck
true.
comes into play. Quick announcement here. We have our first member. Little countdown here. Let me get the sound ready to go, and then I'll throw it up here on the
Whoa,
screen. It's none other than surprise.
mother.
Yolanda Babels has become our first member. We're gonna go ahead and play the sound. Yes, sir.
You're a real one, Mom.
Yes, sir. So our first member of the channel, super thankful, of course, and we're going to continue to grow this thing out and get bigger as we go along. So thank you, Mom, for being our number one supporter. We love you to death. And before the show, put up a little pre-show question based on, the results of the Ryder Cup. We're going to go ahead and get this conversation started and jump through all the different topics and hoops and backtrack. I'm going to do a little bit of patting on the back here, and something that I predicted came to fruition. But I was confident when I said it, and it did pan out. So the question I threw up there, what was the primary reason for the U.S. failure and European triumph in this year's Ryder Cup? There's a lot of things you can point to. There really are. Um, I don't. I'm going to ask you straight away what you thought, the major failure or on the European side, right decisions that they made to come to this result that we ended up with.
Yeah, for sure. You called it. I was a little bit hard headed on the subject. I thought the guys were gonna toss bad captaincy aside and perform anyways. But first session goes, you see the parents. I mean, like literally. I mean, when you go from favorites to underdogs just based off the first session pairings, it says a lot.
Hmm.
And that was the beginning of it all. They just never recovered. They just
I mean,
never recovered, man.
history in no time in the Ryder Cup history, the 44th playing of the Ryder Cup, has there ever been a 4-0 shutout? Never.
Embarrassing.
And that's how we start out. And that wasn't that wasn't the only record that we incurred on the negative side this week. So yeah, like you said, the pairings in day one were just off, and I think there
Bad.
was articles already written about having to go back to the drawing board, and Zach Johnson immediately recognizing the folly in those
Yeah.
lineups. So should have been prepared, but I'm going to go back to round one. Let's look at our matchups, and not only were they lopsided and bad, or shouldn't say lopsided, but they were just bad, is because
Right.
like the scores were just they weren't really close matches at all. So day one morning session we had John Rahm, Terrell Haddon going out against Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns. They get knocked out 4-3. Okay. We have the same result, 4-3. Hovland and I'm probably saying this wrong. I think I heard him say it differently on the broadcast, but we've been saying Aberg. Did you hear something different? I was
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of it.
They said Aber, Ludwig Aber.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that. And the few times that I actually had the volume up, I was listening primarily
Yeah.
with the volume down. So that's Hovland and Aber against Homa and Harmon. So Homa, honestly, for the Americans, just jumped to it, had probably had the best week. Had three and a half
Yeah.
points. That loss on day one was his only loss. He went 3-1-1, which we'll jump more into individual
Yeah.
results. The other two matches were both 2-1, a little more competitive. Shane Lowry, Seb Straka versus Ricky Fowler, and Colin Morikawa. Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood went up against Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. 2-1. Again, a little bit closer, a little more competitive, but ultimately the same result. Ending the
Yeah.
day, this morning session, down 4-0. Really poor play and not being able to scratch out a point, a half a point. And the afternoon wasn't dramatically better, ending with three ties and the Euros getting a full point, going 5-3. Again, McElroy and Matt Fitzpatrick going against Colin Morikawa and Schauffele. The boy McElroy was on one all
Hey,
week. Best player.
easily the dominant player in the whole event. I mean, bro,
Yes.
you just didn't stand a chance if he had fairway Jesus or King Pace. I mean, he was rocking and rolling. I mean, then came out, did what he was supposed to do in solos. I mean, uh,
McElroy, man.
uh,
I mean, when it comes to this, European team stuff, McElroy is that
God,
guy. He's that guy. I'm sorry. We've been, really, you know,
we talk about
pumping
it
up
every
McElroy.
freaking week.
Super talented, man. And here's where it comes to fruition, man. The dude's still young. We talk about his age. He's 35, 36. Still in the prime of his career. The swing is probably the most fluid and beautiful on tour right now. When Tiger Woods tells his son, Tiger Woods, the Tiger, Eldrick Tiger Woods tells his son to model his swing after Rory and not his own, that says a lot about what kind of talent that man has. But he went 4-1 this week, total of 4 points, number one point gainer amongst both teams. Like you mentioned, right, or not far behind that, there were top, four people on the European side. Terrell Haddon went 3-0-1 for 3.5 points. Victor
Yeah,
Hovland 3-1-1, 3.5, and Tommy Fleetwood 3-1-0 for 3 points. And John Rahm actually came in with 2-0-2 for another 3 points. So you had
yeah,
some really strong performers. The people that you would expect to perform on the European side actually performed. And again, on the the U.S. side, Max Homa doing his thing with three and a
yeah,
half. But then you have a massive drop off with Harmon, Cantlay getting 2 points apiece, Kepka 1.5 points, Thomas 1.5
yeah,
points, and then we have one, and then like Ricky Fowler getting shut out. So, God, there's so many stories to go through on this deal. After day one, again, we had some scrambling, we had some panic. A lot of people are picking on the picks and the players that were selected. I don't think it was the players, to be honest. The talent was there. I mean, when
yeah,
that's one of the things that we were looking at is that this is a talented group of golfers, and you're going to always have a handful of guys that are not on their A game this week, and you have to sit them out.
yeah,
You have to take some chances with others. But when you have your team just low energy and they're not really, Zach Johnson kept trying to reemphasize that, oh, they're out there fighting for each other. I didn't feel that until
no.
like the second half of the second day. And, today I wasn't feeling the team energy and rooting for each other. What is your perception of how all that went down from a team energy standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of motivating factors coming from the top. There was no like, and I think, and it's wild to even say, but I feel like if you're that type of player, not that you even need something to give your motor a go, but there should have been something said or something mumbled or something amongst the players to get y'all going. Like I heard somebody, even if it's falsified, you need something to get the juices going. And if it's something like, hey, like man, they said they was about to drub us, bro. They said we wasn't even gonna score after the first session. So like something needs to be said to where the juices are going immediately. There shouldn't be some type of form of like, well, I don't know. We just didn't have it. Like, I mean, like, and then the excuses, they've already started. I mean, like, there was a
Well,
call
we
going around from player to
yeah, we saw that.
player.
We saw that on day
Oh
two.
Lord.
He was already, and it was even the way that Johnson mentioned it. It was vague. He said something's going around, right? I'm glad we have a doctor in the room. Some sniffles, bro. We're talking about a common cold knocking people out, or not being able to get some
For real.
emergency dog, dog. Um, it was
Took the
just
air out the
excuse
building,
after
man. Took
excuse.
the air out the building.
He Yeah. Day one, after that first session, he was already coming with the excuses, and it was really awkward. Missed the
Yep.
first morning session. Ended up watching the replay, but I ended up waking up near the end of it in that morning and catching his post round interview and seeing the drubbing. I think I watched the final few holes, but just he couldn't come up with the words to justify what had gone on that morning. And then, of course, had to go back in the team room and reshuffle the lineups. Uh, let's backtrack a little bit. We talked about the play beforehand, with Max Homa, JT getting some reps in a couple weeks prior to the Ryder Cup, but all 12 Euros, and I didn't even realize it was all 12. All 12 Euros played in the BMW PGA Championship a couple of weeks before as well, all
Yeah.
getting reps. So 9 out of the 12 American players had not played in 5 weeks. That's ridiculous.
Unacceptable.
I I don't know how that even passes muster as a
Unacceptable.
captain of a team to not get your players out playing golf somewhere within 5 weeks. I forget the other one is going to be Brooks Koepka because he played that live
Brooks
event
Koepka
last
had
week.
to.
So, it's like, damn, man, when you think about that and the struggles, like, no one came in incredibly hot on the U.S. side. We saw Hovland win the FedEx Cup, hot. There were questions about JT, which I'll give him credit for being playing respectably throughout the week. I will. That was the questionable pick. Ricky Fowler, that one now will be questioned into perpetuity. Bro, he played the morning session on Friday, and we didn't see him again until today.
Solo
What do you think
single.
about Ricky, man?
Hmm.
What do you think about Ricky, man? I mean, I know he had a
I
resurgence this year.
I think I think it was a mix of both. I think he got froze out, and I think also he was the fall man. I mean, and I don't even like believing in stuff like that, but the interviews have already come out. You know what? When the guy that's captaining your squad is already like just thinking about stuff he can say to get off the hook for his guidance and his form of captaincy, you know what? It it- it's only so much you can say about the player, but we already got to it. It's unacceptable for 9 out of the 12 American players to not get any kind of competitive play in. Even if see, even if you come over early, right? You go over early and you play in the freaking BMW championship. You go over there and you play at
Right.
Wentworth with the homies. It's still 2 weeks before. Y'all can buddy it up then. Y'all are all on the PGA
Yeah.
Tour. I get it. It's just one
Get
week out the year that
acclimated.
we're rivals.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get acclimated to the time change. Don't do it the week before. It's just a lot of mistakes that were made, and there was a article that came out, of course, afterwards, pointing to Zach Johnson saying, "Well, it's fresh. I can't really make an assessment of it," but also
Garbage.
initially saying that he wouldn't change anything. Bro, if you lose the Ryder Cup when you have one of the most talented on paper teams ever, and you get beat down like that, and I know the score feels a little bit closer than it was, but we all knew going into today, four
Yeah,
matches wrapped up the cup. Four matches out of 12.
four.
That's it. And so for him to say that off the bat, again, he struggled with controlling the message. He's just not good on the microphone. But saying that you wouldn't change anything, look, we said it. Okay, you ended up losing by four. You essentially threw that away on the morning session of day one. You get a
From jump.
couple of points out of that. You get 1 point out of that. You get a whole point somewhere on day one. One whole point. You go into the second day 6-2, 5-3, something respectable. You're in touch. You can kind of scratch out the rest of the days, and it becomes a lot more. It's a different tournament at that point. But this man
Yes.
said he would change nothing, and I will kind of. I'm not patting myself on the back because honestly, you see this flag behind me. I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. I wanted us to win. But I'm going to go
Yeah.
through some basic things that I saw right off the bat weeks ago that pointed me to this and why I was confident in making that call. There was a. I'm going to get to this comment that just popped up. So hang in there, Bobby. I really have a response to that. So the protective message about JT, saying his play in the Fortinet Championship did not matter, bothered me. Yes, his play mattered. Again, missing the point. 9 out of 12 Americans didn't play for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, your play leading up to the tournament matters, 100%. The picks, the captain's picks, Ricky Fowler, good. But you think about somebody, the energy that's in the room, you missed out on a Keegan Bradley. We talked a little bit about Cam Young, maybe a little too young and immature at this stage of his career, but a fiery guy. It seems like it would have been a benefit to have somebody with that level of energy. And we know Keegan's been in that team room before, has had a really good year. I was talking to my boy Z earlier via text, and he was saying like even a Tony Finau. Finau hasn't won since April, so I wasn't really feeling that. But you could easily question a handful of those picks. I don't
Yeah.
put it all on the players. Again, we're talking about Zach Johnson here. Then again, allowing just a lot of the noise and talking about the toughness of the course, you're putting obstacles in front of your team before they even tee it up. And even if you're just mentioning those small items, it just seemed like a weak sauce approach to this and just did not have the firmness. You got Freddie Couples making public comments about things that ended up not being true. It's like, hey man, control your captains. It's like we talk about the whole buddy
I told
system,
you, bro.
and
Exactly. He's one of the homies. He
you
don't got no
can't do
control over
this.
the homies.
Yeah, I can't
You
do that.
gonna
You
tap
just
him on the
cannot.
shoulder, bro. You
You're
tap
right.
him on the shoulder
And
and you're like, hey, bro, chill, like chill, chill, chill. That's all you can do. You don't have no
yeah,
authority. Nobody's gonna listen to Zach Johnson and be like, you know what, ZJ, you're right. You know what? Let me calm down. He don't have it like that. He don't have no
no,
clout. He don't have no say on the tour, bro. Nobody's looking back at your 2016 Open Championship and saying, yo, this is the guy. Nobody.
no.
Absolutely
He's
nobody, bro.
even winning the Masters and that Open Championship. Zach Johnson has never been regarded as one of the top players in the game. He's a good player.
100%.
He's a really good player. But was he ever one of the elites? No. So he does not have the same cachet. He doesn't have the same physical talents as these athletes that were on his team this year. And it all, again, go back, check the tape. September 17th was our live show. I reposted the clips on September the 19th talking about isolating why I thought there was going to be a real question about this Ryder Cup. And so a comment came up while we were going through this. Robert Fisher, it was hosted in Europe. Ryder Cup is always home field advantage. I get that. I get that. One thing that we can say is yes, it is primarily a home field advantage. But
Yeah.
the last time that the Americans won on European soil. My brother here was 4 years old. It was 1993 was the last time that they won. We can't say the same thing for the Euros. So they've been able to figure it out. And on paper, even though we know the top of the deck for the Euros was pretty stacked, the US team should have won this tournament. I get it.
Yeah,
The energy's all on the European side, home soil. The way they get their crowds together, it's impressive. 100%.
yeah,
So
no,
I
100%.
I get I get the home soil advantage, but you also have to show up with some urgency. And no one on
Yeah,
that team had the urgency that like, hey, I got a fire underneath my ass. I'm gonna go get it this week. We just did not see that out of the U.S. squad. And when you have
at
talent
all.
on that level, you have to be able to overcome. Again, the day one was the determining factor, and that was all
Yeah,
human decisions that led to that.
right.
So,
No, 1000%.
shit.
I
I'm
just keep
sorry. It's
looking over
just
at the player records. No, 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 no. You're right on track, bro. Like I mean, but like we went through with the Solheim Cup, bro. It's just insane when you go back and you look at the records, and then you can get into like you can really look at these player choices and stuff like that. Like we need to have a hard discussion about Jordan Spieth this year. We need to have a
mm-hmm,
hard discussion about Scotty Scheffler this year. Morikawa, where were you at? Shoffley, where were you at? I mean, Brooks, you did okay. Wyndham, you did okay. JT, you tried to carry. Harmon can't leave Max Homa. When you can only talk about three guys in a positive mantra from a whole 3-day weekend, it's a lot to be said. Then you go through on the European side, we can go down the list. We can go down from the bottom up. Hoygaard, you got some players that you need to hide. We talked about that already. You
mm-hmm.
hide them. Even then, he still got a half a point, didn't get shut out, and played in 3
Right.
sessions. Seb
Yep.
Straka got a full win, got a full point, went 3 sessions. Matt Fitzpatrick had that magical run with Rory, got a point. Jay Rose, one
Yeah.
and one, or 1-1-1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He was
Shane
making.
Lowry,
He
one
was
one and
hitting
one.
putts. Rose was hitting some
He
putts,
clutched
man.
up. He clutched up, made that crazy half, that point half on the 4 ball, and then the solos. It didn't matter. He hung on long enough and drug it out enough. I mean, Shane Lowry hit him, still went 1-1-1. I mean, what
Mm-hmm.
Ludwig Albert? I mean, Albert, bro went 2-2 and still had one of the better weeks from them because he had that
Yeah.
run with Vic. I mean, the only thing that you can really speak on is his singles match where he completely just didn't have a chance versus Brooks. I mean, Brooks was a buzzsaw
Yeah.
today for the most part. I mean, Bob McIntyre. Bob McIntyre, of all
Bob,
people, went 2-0-1.
Bob, look at Bob. Bob has hit the scene this year like a
Bro
wild
is
man,
jackpotting.
and
Real talk. His that market value going up, bro. Real talk. Tommy
yeah,
Fleetwood
he's out.
3-1. Vic. I mean, like your top 4 players, like your top 4 players. Fairway Jesus 3-1, Vic 3-0-1, Tyrrell 3-0-1, and we already spoke on it. Rory 4-1. Bro, that's the
Yeah,
story in itself. That's 13 points right there. 4-3-3-3 or 13 points. My fault.
and that boy hadn't, man. It's again that passion. It's just
That
it's
5-4.
so,
That he's so. Oh my god.
oh, I love it.
I
I see.
can't believe
I
it, bro.
admire these Europeans. So Bobby comes back with another comment. That's why I argue home field advantage. Tough to have fired 1:30 a.m. Again, get your ass over to the European side of things. Stay there for
Yeah,
2 or 3 weeks to get your body, on that schedule. But they should have had some dog in them. All right. Shout out to Coach
agreed.
Prime. They should show up for sure. Again, you have to. You have to figure out how to dig it out of the gutter. And we
Valid
saw
point.
that from the European side. One more comment that came up actually pre-show that I wanted to pop up. this is again back to the players. They didn't take the next players that were available to them. We mentioned that there were some other options that were a little bit further down on the list. Hell,
Yeah.
man, what would an adult in the room like a Lucas Glover, who played out of his mind the last month of the PGA Tour season, what could he have
Hey,
done? From a grittiness standpoint, ball striking standpoint. This was not a long course. So many drivable par fours, short holes, accuracy with the irons was premium.
yeah, he had three. There was three drivable par fours, where if you just absolutely need to play them four balls, he could lay up with the ball striking and go for it. But at 43 or whatever, he still can knock it out there pretty strong. I mean, you saw freaking JT and them
Hmm.
reaching with a 3 wood, so he getting there. But like, I think
Yeah.
it's funny you talk about who could have been. If we think about Lucas Glover, you don't think I think he would have dadded it up. Real talk. He's like, hey son, I don't know what you got going on over there, but you better put a fire in there. We got to get going. There's no way.
Yeah,
And then
man.
Cam Young's a country guy too. And but I don't I think
Countries you can be from New York, but yeah, I get you.
right, right. Well, I mean Cam Young?
Cam Young.
Oh, well, I mean, he has the dip in the mouth and stuff like he might be from
I know.
upstate New York. You know
I
how they
know.
do out there.
I feel you. I feel you. Yes.
But so he's got Paul Tesori on the bag now. Paul Tesori, great locker room guy, been with Webb Simpson forever. He knows how to talk. And then I'm still on the fence about Keegan Bradley, right? I don't know. I don't know if he would have necessarily. And he's a great team guy, great Ryder Cup
Hmm.
player, 100%. I
Yeah.
just don't know if he. I don't know if he meshes with these guys like that. You know what I'm saying?
But
That's my
that's the
only
thing.
deal.
I feel that. I
And we'll
feel
never
you on
know
that.
because
But
he didn't get picked.
this is true. But here's where this particular lineup, outside of Brooks, this is feels like the country club, lineup. There's not a lot of just kind of go get 'em outside of Brooks, right? Really, there's
Yeah,
nobody that you look at as just like a dogged competitor that has that FU type of attitude and just go gets it out the mud. I mean, we saw um
I
Key
mean
not
Max
Key, oh
Homa's
God,
probably
Chef.
the closest guy,
He is, and I think
and he
he's
went 3-1-1.
the
You're right.
last 2 years, President's Cup and Ryder Cup this year, Max Homa has set himself up from a team standpoint and just as a solo competitor. He is out here shaking up, some lineups. He is changing the
Yeah,
perception of who Max Homa is. Shout out to him.
yeah,
But the fact that Scotty Scheffler was so shaken up after they took their, again, historic loss, 9-7 yesterday, had to sit out the afternoon session. It really calls into question the mental fortitude and just kind of, what do they call it? Just the testes that are in him to deal with adversity. I mean, this whole putter thing and struggling with his putter for the last year, and that
yeah.
weak sauce performance and feeling like you were just shaken up. It really makes me question kind of how strong mentally Scotty Scheffler is, and kind of that's that division between his ball striking talent and reaching next level. I think that's the obstacle for him, and
Yeah.
is going to
And
hold him up long term.
yeah, and it's funny we mentioned this, and me and you this is for our audience. This is a personal note, but when you grow up on the southern side of Dallas and you go up to play these Highland Park guys and stuff like that, you already know how easy it is to get in their head mentally when we played them in high school, how intimidated they got from seeing anybody that didn't look like them. It's easy to see how he can get shook up. I'm just saying. Am I lying?
Yeah, it's a different when you have some adversity. You just, I don't know, you react a little bit differently. I don't know, man, and I think
I
that
felt like
showed. And
Xander was gonna have more shot. Or I thought like Sam, Xander, I thought they was gonna have a little bit more fight in them. I'm not. I
Mm,
don't believe in. I don't believe in Morikawa. I didn't believe in Clark. Brian Harmon surprised me. And then Cantley surprised me. Cantley
I think that
surprised me
Brian.
because he fought
I think
through.
Brian. Yeah, we'll talk about Kentley. Put that one on the
Yeah.
back burner. But one quick mention
Oh,
about
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Harmon. Harmon, I think, has some dog in him. I think he's got that competitive spirit. Just kind of gritty, a little bit funny on the sly. They did an interview with him, and he was just kind of, I forget who he was playing with in that session, but just kind of a down home type of guy. Just kind of gets it out of the mud. We saw that in the Open this year, with an
Yeah.
impressive, pretty much wire to wire finish. So he's got it in him. Does he have it in him every week? No, but he reminds me of Kevin Kistner. Just kind of gritty.
Yeah.
Smallish, but we'll go get you a hole. And we just don't have a lot of players like that anymore. But let's get into the Patty Ice situation. So he comes on no hat. You know, um, Interesting. There's some fuzzy details about whether him and Xander were in a separate part of the locker room and not engaging. Uh, the hat apparently is a nod to him not getting paid and wanting to advocate for players getting paid to play in the Ryder Cup, which
Yeah.
I found this out through reading a handful of articles. He wore a hat last year in the President's Cup. Guess what? They get paid in the President's Cup. And 2 years
So some
ago, Ryder
validity
Cup,
to
he
it.
did not wear a hat. So there's some validity to it. And here he is insulting our intelligence, saying, no, I don't, this is a different deal, and saying those things, but then passive aggressively not wearing the hat. And his reason given is that it doesn't fit. You're telling me that Titleist, your primary sponsor, or Goldman Sachs, your other sponsor, they couldn't figure out a hat and
Right.
how to rebrand it for the USA to fit in with the rest of
All
your
right.
teammates?
100%.
Don't
Don't insult our
insult
intelligence.
my intelligence. Do I think caused this rift in the locker room? No, I don't think it's that deep. But there's some selfish aspects to Patrick Cantlay, and if Xander
100%.
Schauffele's his boy, he was unmistakably quiet. This week you didn't hear a lot from Xander. He also didn't play well and didn't get any burn in front of the cameras. But I don't know. What do you think about that? If that's true, the money aspect and creating some maybe possible awkwardness. I'm not gonna say a rift, but just say awkwardness.
Um, I think that is hopefully it didn't create a rift because I feel like that is just like what you said, it's a separate issue. It's something that has been individualized. Now, him making a scene of it and everything like that, I mean, that is on him. I don't like it because this should be a team. This should be a team deal. That's what we should be focused on. And bro don't want to wear a hat. So now all of a sudden we talking about why do you not have a hat on, bro? Like we shouldn't even be getting into that. But like it's just like what you said. It's selfish because whether you're getting paid or not, I don't know because I feel like you should be getting paid too, especially. But like I also get it
Okay.
because it's like this is for your country. No, 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 no. I see both sides because like I agree. I don't mind not getting paid if I'm out there and we're doing this team competition and I'm putting on for my country and stuff like that. I'm all for that. So like I think like I said, he should put the hat on. We should talk about the whole money aspect after the fact or before the fact. But when it's time to go, you need to put the hat on, and we'll talk about the rest later. Like, I 100% agree. I think the hat was an issue personally for him, and then it spread just a little bit toxically through the locker room more than it should have. But again, not something that should boil over to where it should cause a 5 point loss or really what we would term in football a skunk because there's no way it really should have been a 5 point win. You know what I'm saying? It's really what it really was them getting cooked. So I don't understand what was going on with that. But yeah, 100% a whole individual issue that it shouldn't have been, for sure. I think Rod is just getting reconnected. So I will drudge on until he makes it back. Bobby, another good comment. I mean, if it's all about the mental game in golf, for sure. And I can't highlight it and bring it up on the screen, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say what Bobby said in our comments. He said, "Preach. I teach my kids if I can get in your head, anybody can get in your head. You got to be strong mentally." And 100% agreed. I felt like that's what our generation was raised on. It wasn't raised on a bunch of consolation type deals. So you got to be able to fight and keep going whenever you need to. And in the Ryder Cup, that's what you need to do, especially on away fields. But I think we got Ride back, and
Yep.
let's
Cool
move on
beans. Yeah,
from
thanks
me
for holding
from
that
me.
down.
Yeah, for sure.
One more comment from Robert Preach. He said, I teach my kids if I can get in your head, anybody can get in your head. Gotta be strong mentally. 100%, man. This is sports are it's competitive, man, and I hate that. And maybe it's an American thing that we have gotten just a little bit soft, and the
Yep.
spoils of accomplishments have softened people up. You get paid earlier in your career now, and just astronomical money that you can't even think about. I'm sorry I missed out on what you said there, but when it comes to the Patrick Cantlay deal and getting paid, you're getting sponsorship dollars. Every
Right.
expense that you're incurring to go overseas and participate in this thing, you're getting paid for. So,
Right.
you know, let's not act like they get hosed or that they're having to come out of pocket for this at all. Um,
They're not coming out
the
of
fact
pocket at
that,
all.
and there's probably kickers in their other endorsements that if they get selected
Ma-
for a Ryder Cup, that there's
Yep.
additional kickers. So
Agreed.
miss
100%.
me, miss me with that. So again, we are. I already had this kind of sour spot in the back of my head for Patrick Cantlay anyway, just due to his slow play. We have a full conversation about that earlier on in the year. He's not. He doesn't come across as a likable dude, and that's not all it's about. But when you're in the team room, if he comes across as unlikable to the general public, imagine in person. I feel like
Right.
there's a handful of people that defend him in that locker room. I think you had Morikawa, you had Justin Thomas come out today without the hats on, in support of Cantlay.
Yeah.
But it's a small percentage. And when you have people on their own agenda and can put aside the bullshit for a week, I don't know. I have a problem with that. And I feel like that's where the vetting comes through from a
Yeah.
selection standpoint when you're picking people for these teams. Hey, man, we're talking about, representing our country. Is this going to be a problem? Yes, you are absolutely one of the most talented golfers that we have available to us. But are you going to come in the locker room with that BS again? Are you going to
Right.
find a hat that fits you this year so you can participate fully with the rest of us? That's the stuff those are the conversations that your captain has to be willing to have. And if he's not, you have what we had this year, which was an underperformance from some really talented golfers and
Yep.
overperformance to a certain degree from the other side. You had the Europeans feeding off of each other. I want to play this clip from the team bus after the Europeans won. Just really represents what they're all about here. Is it playing on your end, Marcus?
No, it's up on my screen, but not playing.
All right, let me reload it here. 1 second, folks. Deal with this real life internet struggle. See here. There we go. Lowry is lit. Where they got
Oh
this
man, and there's I want to be mad so bad, but like, have some cool, be mature about it, bro. Y'all kicked our ass, man. Do what you want, bro. Enjoy
you
it.
did your damn thing.
Enjoy it, man. Go ahead, do your.
No,
I can't
and
even hate on it. Ugh.
I cannot hate. I mean, and there's so many guys on that team. You know, we've been
That are
having some
likable.
frustrations with John Rahm lately, and him feeling like he's been a little bit of a diva. But um, you know, people that hate on Rory because of his outspokenness about Live, he's caught a lot of haters this year. And the
Yep.
truth is, when the chips are down, the man has been performing. He's been a leader. So you can say what you want, and sometimes that's the uncomfortable part of being a leader is not everybody is going to like you at the end of
Yep.
the day. But
one
if
Hundred
you
percent.
bring the goods when you're supposed to bring the goods and you have to say some uncomfortable things sometimes, guess what? That's part of the game. And the spoils are worth it. And I would say that man's probably enjoying a different level of respect in his locker room that most other people will never see in their entire lives. So shout out
Yeah.
to Rory. Kudos for him and leading that European team, which is another segue into the events of at the end of day two yesterday. The blow
Yeah.
up on the 18th green with Joe LaCava, again, Patrick Cantlay draining like a 43-foot putt
Yeah. It
to
was
secure
insane.
that match. But Rory, I shouldn't say secure, it ended up securing it. But, you know, Rory's lining up his putt. Joe LaCava's on the green, tipping his hat, you know, kind of giving it back to the crowd because I'm sure he's been hearing it all day, you know, riding Patrick's bag about the no hat thing. But what did you take out of that situation? And then the subsequent blow up in the parking lot where Rory had to be
Yeah.
held back, my guy.
Held back. Um. Yeah. It was very interesting. When it first came out, I again, I think we had we were watching in the shop, of course, because I was at work. And sure enough, like they're going down, and I'm like, oh man, another just sad freaking finish to the session. And then they're going down to 18th, and then like you turn it back, and we turned it to like some college football or something like that because it was just like they were getting beat down. So we
Right,
change it back, and sure enough, it comes out. And we're like, wait, what happened? And so we
right.
went through, saw the clips, saw Patrick make the putt, and then next thing you know, like I see Rory squatted, and I'm trying to read the putt. But for some strange reason, Joey LaCava is just like maybe 2 feet, 3 feet from my man's. For what? For what? There was not even a reason for
Whip,
you to be over there.
whipping the
Like,
crowd for a long time.
right. And then waved him off and was like, get out of here. Like, bro, at the end of the
Right.
day, you're a caddy, brother. You're a caddy. And then, oh, I think what made it worse was the fact that it came out and they were like, US caddy has spat with Rory. Like, we don't know who Joe LaCava is. Like, we don't know who that is, bro. Like, I was
Right,
like, what?
like he hasn't caddied for Fred Couples, Tiger Woods, and then I think it was DJ. I forget who the other one was for like 4 years,
Yeah,
but he's been
exactly,
on
bro.
some
Like,
big
what?
bags. Yeah,
So then they get to the parking lot, and why do I see Bones? Why do I see Bones here? Shane Lowry being a great teammate, being an absolute homie, bro. Just get in the car, bro. We're all right, man. Just get in the car.
right.
And Rory still, whatever that was that he was doing, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of like we're in that mode now where it's like, is it scripted or not? It just
No, that
felt
was no, no. The
he was no,
emotions
he
were
was
real,
fiery.
bro.
No, he was
Yeah,
fiery because they interviewed him about it today after he won his solos match, and it had to be from the top because Cara Banks asked like 3 questions straight up. Like, well, what happened? I haven't talked to Joe. Oh, so what are your
well that
emotions on
what
it? I haven't talked to Joe.
well that's the crazy thing is I think that's also disputed because I saw a separate article later today that said that Joe LaCava did reach out, you know, and
Yeah,
said that he was trying to make contact and make amends with Rory. I mean, if we know how tight Rory is with Tiger, We know that there's
Right.
been interactions between him and Joe. It would almost feel like for them to not have their each other's phone numbers in their phones or be able to say, "Hey, Tiger, shoot me Joe's number so I can go, speak to this man directly." They don't have to go
Yeah.
through camps to have a man to man
Exactly.
discussion.
I felt that was funny, but they said they texted or one. I don't know if it might have been one sided, but one of the parties said that he did reach out to Rory, and I believe it was Joey that said he reached out at least. Don't know if Rory responded. He probably was in his mode
Yeah,
where he was like, let's lock in. We'll talk about it after. I don't know, but I
yeah,
mean, even
but
if
the
it
fact
is
that
a
that came,
spat, go
yeah,
ahead.
but the fact that that came from a caddy and not a player, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm asking too much of the Americans to be too fiery, but I would have loved to have seen a
No,
player, with that energy as Joe LaCava.
right.
And I get it. He could be playing that role and say hey, selectively stepping up to the plate in that way, but I still would have loved to see that come from a player. But
No,
maybe I'm
a
asking too
thousand
much.
percent, bro. No, you're not. Quit being sarcastic. You know you're not. I feel like one of the
Yeah.
players should have
Yeah, here
been.
here here
They should have been egging it on.
yeah, here we are over here agreeing this week. We're gonna get the comments about agreeing. But
I
anyway, let's
know,
see. What
man.
um so yeah, I mean that's the bulk of it. Those are the main headlines. There was for a 3 day event. There was a lot of storylines, and there were a lot of
Yeah,
things and layers and panic. Even just people that you talk with at golf, we're all like texting at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning saying, "What the hell's going on day one?" There was
for real,
somebody
man.
in a group chat that I'm
It
in,
was so
and they're like,
funny.
"Stop texting this early," but it was bad. 4-0.
No, you got no. Forget them. Forget the people that don't want to text about the Ryder Cup at 4 a.m., bro. They're not true. They're not true homies, man. Forget them.
I
I keep
know,
thinking about to that. Keep thinking about that 9 and 7 L. Like that's.
bro.
uh,
No,
uh,
they won. They won no holes. They squared 2 holes, and then like to not get a hole on the board, bro. How bad do you have to be playing or shook up or affected by the circumstances where you just can't get up? Um, and then
right,
just I don't know. I keep thinking about the sickness ploy. The truth is, the funny part on the telecast, Paul Azinger and who's the other guy in the booth this week? I'm forgetting his name, bald headed guy. Whatever. They were even calling into question the whole sick mention, and
right.
they were kind of clown. They were clowning on Zach Johnson. The truth is, I would not expect after this year, and I can't say it because again, it's there he's in the clique, but if Zach Johnson never touches a vice captainship or any position kind of on an executive level within golf again, I would not be surprised if he is because he's
Right.
been like a vice
Valid.
captain 3 times at this point. If he never sees that team room again, I would not be surprised. He has torn his draws so bad this week with this performance and the comments and the shifting of blame. He said, "Oh, it's on me. It's not on those 12 players." But the truth is, man, they do hold some responsibility for their own levels of passion
Yeah.
and commitment, but you also hold accountability for holding them accountable. You are the
Right.
captain. You ask them to step outside of the box. You should know better than having people sit out for 5 weeks, coddling them, not calling them to the carpet. Like, F that sickness ploy. Just say, we are playing like crap. It's okay to say
Yeah.
that. And I get it, bad performances happen, but you can literally say, top to bottom, with the exception of Max Homa, bro, we struggled. We did not have our
Yeah.
best. We didn't have our fastball, and it's just easy to say that and not be the asshole at the end of the day. Did you also make
Yeah.
mistakes? Hell yeah, say that too. My matchups were bad. Say that. My matchups that I chose on day one put us in an insurmountable hole. You look at the finish. You look at how we
Yeah.
started. That's the difference in this week. Period.
100,000. Yep. And I think it
That
also goes back to what we were talking about with it was I just was thinking it. Oh, well, anyways, I'm leading into accountability
okay.
because this is like something where regardless of how the team plays, you need to be accountable for how you were. Like, and I think also in the same aspect, when things go forward, warranted, they should never, whatever ZJ was doing in the locker room, we should never do that again. Like, this is like a bullet point of what not to do in these
He
situations. You know what I'm
he's the
saying?
template. He's the template for no.
He's the template for no. Oh, okay. So yeah, I think that as far as accountability goes, I think this is where feelings should not matter here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
I feel like it's just like after the first session, some things need to be said, and it doesn't need to be said politely. Just quite frankly, like there, well, yo, what happened out there, guys? Okay, I made bad parents. All right, y'all still gonna lose 4-0 though on me? Nah, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Right. We're gonna lose two of them, 4-3. 4-3, really, bro?
Badly.
We can't get to the last little portion of holes. Come on now. That you're exactly right.
Yeah,
Something
bro.
has to be said, but we can listen to Zach Johnson's statements in front of the camera. He is not that guy. He does not have that fiery f you up if
No.
like type of presence. He's a
Right.
slight guy. Again, I mentioned it earlier. He's a good golfer, but was he ever top tier talent? Where these guys who are on that level? When you look at the roster for this year's Ryder Cup on the U.S. side, from a physical talent standpoint, you're not going to find 12 guys that just topple them. They are physical
Right.
specimens, golf talented people, and most of them have the pedigree, right? There's very few in that locker
Exactly.
room that don't have an accomplishment that you can say, okay, I absolutely understand. If you just took them on paper, took away their current playing history, you can say everybody on that roster has the pedigree to be there. Zach Johnson, despite winning two majors, is just not that guy. He's always looking for the right words, doesn't want to make the verbal mistake, doesn't want to hurt people's feelings, doesn't speak
Yeah.
from a passionate standpoint. Him crying on the 18th green today after they lost,
Horrible.
yeah, I was like, dude, that's the most unvarnished realistic version of you, but I also in my head I'm thinking you're feeling bad for yourself. Like you see how
Right.
bad
I
this
thought it was
is.
corny the whole way.
The moment's hidden you of how badly you have coached this team, and it's upon you now. It's final. You weren't able to pull off this miraculous comeback after the first few matches started today, and the US could not make a putt to start building that momentum. I knew. Like I
Right.
woke up early for it. I was ready to go. I was looking forward to those again, first 4 to 5 matches. Can we get the lead? And the Euros, I feel like they didn't lose hole number one in the first 6 or 7 matches. They either squared it or won it outright. They were off to the races. They came to play today. And Zach
Yeah.
Johnson, again, on 18th green today, was feeling just hurt. Dude was crying real tears, just like choked up, like
Right.
somebody had slapped his mother in public. He was, he looked bad. And
Yeah, no, it looked bad all the way.
I couldn't even feel sorry for him in that moment. So blow this thing up. We talked about it last week. It's realistic now, and I get it. People are going to point to, oh, it's just back and forth. Sorry, the Euros have won overseas over here sooner than we have won over there on their side of the soil. So we're
Yeah.
back at Bethpage back 2 years from now in New York. There'll be a Bethpage. 4 years they'll be playing in Ireland. Another chance. Young, talented players will be available again on the U.S. side. The way we're churning out golfers these days, we're going to have a talented team, but you're going to have a still probably in his prime Rory,
Yep.
with he'll be 40. So he'll be your Justin Rose, statesman, but has played in a ton of Ryder Cups, and
Yep.
the team knows him as a known commodity. And you're going to have European stars. Clearly, these guys are in their young 20s as well. So Hoygaard,
Yeah.
Abear, all these guys, and some more are coming. So you can expect a formidable challenge. Figure out how to win on foreign soil. Give it to us one
Yeah.
time. Or really, I just hope they blow it up. I just do. In an ideal world, they get embarrassed on home soil, and then you're really forced to make a choice of your program and reevaluating what you're doing to select these teams and these captains. I'd have to really think about who would be a suitable captain that has that pedigree. Even I think Tiger's too buddy buddy with a lot of these guys, unless the lineups completely change, and
Yeah.
guys that he's
You know
super
who
close
Tiger
to,
reminds me of?
a JT is no longer. Who's that?
He reminds me of Kevin McHale when he came to the Rockets. Basketball, a savant, a known winner, a champion. Period. But it also comes with the acumen that he expects championship level play out of you. He doesn't have to explain what he needs you to do. That's how he feels. That's how I think Tiger would be.
Yeah.
Tiger to be like I don't know what I need to tell you. You just need to go out and do it. What does that mean, Tiger? I want to learn from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, no,
Because
no.
that's how he
No,
figured.
I
That's
feel
how he
like
did with Beard.
no, I feel like Tiger's disrespectful on the low. I mean, they've said that. Like, there's been like you see some interactions between him and like Scotty Scheffler for the
Mm-hmm.
TaylorMade channel, and he's low key disrespectful.
Yeah.
Um, he holds some secrets in. I know Rom has reached out to him for some tips and tricks, and he's frozen Rom out. So yeah.
Who? Yo,
Okay.
yo.
Okay. Mom's providing the comic relief. We were getting too serious apparently. So we love our mom, but I'm gonna flash this comment. What happened to Hal Varner? I think you mean Harold Varner. And
Harold
at no
Varner.
point has
He's a
Harold
live golfer.
Varner ever, he is not that guy. He will never
Yeah,
make a Ryder Cup team.
I'm trying to think about how he could. I mean, the best he's done is he even top 50 in the world? I mean, last year when
No,
you felt like he was really hot, he wasn't even top 50 in
no,
the world.
no, because
Yeah,
he's never
yeah,
he's only closed the deal in Saudi Arabia. I think maybe one
and
live
in
tournament at this point,
Australia,
but okay. But yeah, Harold Varner's never been that guy. He
right?
even if the PGA Tour and the live guys come back together, Harold Varner,
He's
I
still
think
not making the team.
he's got some physical ailments. I don't think his heart's fully in golf anyway. He's
Right,
said flat out he does it for the money and to take care of his family, which is commendable. But
right.
he is not top. I don't think he's top 25 in the world, let alone
Yeah,
top
no,
50. He may be top 50. He may squeeze in the top 50, but not top 25. Definitely not enough to, make a Ryder Cup team. So thanks for the laugh,
yeah.
Mom. We appreciate it. And
Last
and
thing
let
that
me
I
point
have
out
to say.
again,
Oh,
show member, Miss Babels too.
right.
So anybody
Um,
watching, if you're still watching, we have show memberships available. Join up, sign in. Got some extras coming to you. So go ahead. What you were going to say?
you think about one of the most the one of the beatdowns that America received, 2014. Can you even, besides like our regulars, back at that time, like Colts and Sergio, Rory, Phil. Who else can you name from that? Only person you can name is literally the captain that won it, Paul McGinley. And what did like if you Paul McGinley can control the locker room and Zach Johnson can't, a major winner, it just goes to show you how much they think about you, brother.
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
On that, I think that's a good sign off for today. A good lively show. There was so much to talk about. I was hype putting together the notes and watching this
Right.
morning again, and yeah, I just knew we were going to have
Same.
a passionate discussion about this debacle, and we'll have a few more weeks of LPGA as we roll down to the end of their season. DP World Tour, um, still going to be winding down their season. So there's still some meaningful golf ahead that we'll be back at it every single week throughout the off
For
season,
sure.
and then before you know it, we'll be back in January with the Tournament of Champions and back in the full swing of the new season, seeing who the new crop of golfers are out. I'm loving, and I know there's some. I think we missed it, but complaining Jimmy Walker, people that are hating the top 125 not getting an automatic spot. The PGA is turning into a bit cutthroat. You got to earn your spot going forward. So, loving the new
Absolutely.
format, even though some of the players who are wishing for those lifetime achievement awards, it ain't working out for them. So,
Right.
we're gonna keep going throughout the quote unquote off season. So, Bearder Bros Golf Show. Again, I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.